All right, welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. And today we're going to be talking about branding and licensing. You've heard me talk a lot lately about this trend of authority marketing and ways to grow your business using authority. And we've talked a little bit about how you can use a magazine, you can use podcasts, and use mobile video technology in order to truly grow your revenue, grow your business, your personal brand. And a great example of that, I thought, would be an interview that we did with Kathy Ireland, the supermodel, now business mogul. Valiant CEO, which is our magazine, one of many magazines under the Authority Magazine Group, has over 100,000 online readers, as high as 700,000 on given months that we have big celebrities and draws on the cover. But this magazine is one that I believe has given a great example of how you can use authority and credibility to drive your marketing and your brand. And a great example of that is Kathy Ireland. We had an opportunity to interview her and put her on one of the covers just a few months back. And I'm going to plan on having her interviewed on the podcast in a real in-depth TV, video interview that we'll be putting on our TV channel, which is something I'll talk about a little bit later. But I thought today it would be nice because as I was going through the interview we did with her, I really got a lot of content and value out of what she did. Now, a lot of times I'll take these interviews and I'll paraphrase them a little, I'll summarize them for you. But she did a really good job of really explaining how to overcome obstacles, challenges she faced in transitioning from a supermodel to a business mogul. And this example of really creating a brand that she then went on to license in many, many different areas. So I thought what I'd do is just read to you some of the interview, give you some of the highlights of that. And I hope it's something that brings you value. So if it does, I'd like to hear from you and definitely share the show. So if you haven't liked and subscribed already, do so because you do not want to miss any episodes coming up this week. So the first question we asked Kathy was, could you share some of the challenges faced in your transition from supermodel to business mogul? And what are some of the key factors of your success? And she told us, she said, the transition involved a lot of challenges. However, it's not just in what they do, but how they do it. She says, licensing our brand essentially meant forming partnerships with other businesses. And she considered that a significant achievement. Moreover, she said, finding the right people is crucial. It's all about people. Now, she's worked with Marcus Lemonis, who we also had on the cover from the CNBC show, The Profit. And she says, he always emphasizes putting people before profits, which is a principle that she believes in strongly. And one of the main benefits is the ability to reach, she was talking about with licensing and branding, with licensing specifically, was her ability to reach a broader audience and contribute significantly to her growth. So the process was all about collaborating with others, providing instant access to mutual relationships and fostering loyalty and recognition. She's talking about growing her brand. So by licensing her personal brand, she was able to create those relationships. She also said the elements that have been instrumental to her success were that building relationships with other people. And I've found in my business career that building relationships and partnerships are what help you to grow your brand, but also grow your business. She said the elements have been instrumental in their success. And when you talk about challenges, she says, anytime you embark on something new, facing opposition is inevitable. Reflecting on modeling career that she had, she talks about one of her greatest gifts was the resilience developed through numerous rejections, and she kind of put this over onto her business career. She said, doors slammed in our faces and negative comments only fueled my determination. A no became an opportunity to engage. And she had a quote in our article that I thought I'd share with you that was really good. She said, anytime you embark on something new, facing opposition is inevitable. Reflecting on my modeling career, one of the greatest gifts was the resilience developed through numerous rejections. And I wanted to really emphasize that. And the reason I did is because what you have to realize is that it's not just about overcoming objections, but it's about developing resilience, which you can only do through rejection. You can only do this through obstacles. So think about that for a minute. Some of the greatest strengths you have can only be developed through obstacles. Think about if you're dealing with something right now in your business. Don't look at it as a way to figure out how to overcome it or get through it, but look at it as an opportunity to develop strength and build resilience during that, because you won't develop it when you don't have obstacles and resistance. Does that make sense? So another question we asked her was, how was your mindset, or how has it evolved over the early years of your entrepreneurial journey, to now growing Kathy Ireland worldwide? And what were some of the greatest lessons you learned? She said, not letting someone else's opinion define or destroy you is critical to not limiting yourself. Let me say that again. Not letting someone else's opinion define or destroy you is critical to not limiting yourself. She also went on to say, I observe people placing unnecessary restrictions on who they are based on other people's opinions. Les Brown said, you don't have to succumb to the negative opinion of other people. And, Kathy talked about what she did to deal with that. She said, having a specific goal, understanding what you really want to achieve, and knowing the audience you aim to serve are critical to getting past, this value you place on other people's opinions of you. And you've got to go through that, but you've got to be clear. Clarity is going to help you to be able to get past all of those negative opinions other people might have of you. Let's see. Another question we asked her was, could you explain how licensing became a cornerstone for growing your brand? And she said, it's really about adopting a model that works for us. She said, while different perceptions exist about what licensing is and how it operates, establishing strong relationships with potential partners is critical. So for me, I think what I interpret from that when she said that is that it wasn't just about licensing as much as it was relationships and partnerships. She went on to say, licensing offers a lot of benefits, aiding the attainment of, loyalty recognition. And she started out her brand with just a pair of socks when she was pregnant, aging, she was an aging model and sitting at her kitchen table. And she started with just a pair of socks. She says their partnership with John and Marilyn Moritz, which they now have had for like 34 years, has been instrumental in their success. And she recognizes that immense possibilities came from that, but it came from the relationship she established. Now she's gone on to diversify into all kinds of distribution channels and brands. And she's had collaborations or explored, potential collaborations with Home Shopping Network for over 25 years ongoing. And it's always been kind of stressful, she said, but their multi-million-dollar best-selling collection of, I can't even pronounce it, Bagatelle International at the Home Shopping Network has been a huge, huge success. And, contrary to intuition, she provided a lot of new growth through this. In fact, Forbes, in a major story prior to their launch, predicted their success. And because of that, she's been able to kind of leverage a big PR and media push as well. I think she's done a phenomenal job of branding as well as licensing. And the licensing that I've really learned from her that she's been able to really develop is because of those relationships. I hope that makes sense, because the relationships are critical to her business and they'll be critical to your business. Now, just to give you a quick idea of kind of her beginning stages, in her early stages, we asked her, what was the initial licensing deal that she undertook? And, what did she learn from that? And she said that initial deal was just on socks, literally just socks. And they gleaned that from that experience, it was important to really enter into good partnerships. And she drew from a lot of her background growing up with her father, who had always approached relationships really, as a priority. But she said, really bringing quality socks to the market also stemmed from their relationship and their love for product simplicity, practicality, and their vision to assemble a team that has a passion around sports and diverse individuals that have common goals. So the reason I bring that up is because she had a lot of goals with her brand and her business, but at the end of the day, what she tried to do is center those around relationships with her marketing partners, with her distributors, with her vendors, with her employees. And that has been a critical point of her business. But as the interview went on, we talked about, how do you mitigate risk to ensure the integrity of your brand? I thought that was a really important one. She said it was important for her to meticulously evaluate their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I don't know if you've done a SWOT analysis on your own business, but it sounds routine, but it's so important. I find so many businesses that have not really clearly understood and analyzed what their strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities and threats are. Sometimes they feel like they know their opportunities and strengths, but they don't recognize the threats that exist in the marketplace, the competitors, the competitive environment, the marketplace trends and overall. But she said she really had to analyze that, and it was a commitment to confidence no matter what challenges came up, that she had to do. And financial circumstances were never an excuse to overlook the risk management, because she said in a world of licensing, just because we, we can doesn't mean we should. She was able to turn away a lot of significant deals, walking away from millions of dollars just because it didn't align with their values. This is back to understanding who you are and what you want. There are so many businesses I've seen over the years that have said yes to things that don't fit what they're aligned to do because they're just trying to create revenue. They're just trying to create something that doesn't fit with what they're trying to do, but it was a short-term gain. She gave an example. She said, there are things that just don't belong in her brand, like adult entertainment. CBD, for example, with its health and wellness benefits, is a yes for them. But THC, even though it might have its merits for some, doesn't fit her brand. And for many of you that know, CBD is a pretty big deal on the health and wellness market right now. But the THC, the effects and drug effects of THC did not fit her brand. So she was able to separate that. And I think what happens is when you have clear vision of what your values are, the litmus test is not difficult for you. She said, we hesitate to say never as we're always looking, but we won't compromise our brand, especially when it involves people's safety or something that's going to destroy their long-term work they put into their brand. And so they don't rush into anything, which is another problem I think a lot of businesses do. They kind of rush into things that will help them to create revenue. She said, financial circumstances are never an excuse to overlook risk management. In the world of licensing, just because we can doesn't mean we should. And I thought that was pretty important because it's easy to say that once you've already been through and built a brand. But what she's saying is that it's very critical for you to build a business to have that commitment to your values, commitment to your direction that you're trying to accomplish. And let's see, we asked another question that said, is there any segment of the market that you're passionate about today that you spend the majority of your time working in? She says, oh, that's a great question. We're involved in various sectors, each of its own. That's exciting. She said fashion holds a special place for her, and revisiting fashion now is pretty exciting for her. She's also looking at home. She's also looking at fintech as a dynamic area to build in. But to answer the question, she said what she's most passionate about is the privilege of being exposed to needs and opportunities much bigger than her. And that's where licensing really becomes exciting. I want you to really think about that for a minute. She talks about success for her is making a difference. And I've found this over and over and over again. I've learned from many successful people that after you've really built a lot of success, most of them, if they could go back, they would do it in an area they felt passionate about that they can make a difference with. And so I think it's a lesson that could be brought into your current business. And that is, find ways that you can make a difference, that you can build something that gives impact to the marketplace and does things that makes a huge, huge value in the marketplace in addition to creating revenue. Overall, though, I thought this was a great interview. I thought there were a lot of lessons learned. I'm going to try to bring you more and more of our interviews of Valiant CEO and some of the top CEOs and global brands that we have out there. But I also want to tie down one more thing for you before we take off, and that is I can't overestimate or overemphasize right now the significance of building your personal brand and creating authority in the market, because let's be honest, it's very difficult to stand out in the marketplace right now. But if you will find ways to get yourself featured, to create authority, to be featured frequently, whether it's magazines, podcasts, social media, there are ways for you to stand out. And the more you stand out, the more trust you have with the public, the simpler it is to create value for people, and the more you're going to create a legacy company, not a flash in the pan. So if you've learned any lessons here from Kathy Ireland and branding and licensing, it's that creating authority through being featured, like in our Valiant CEO magazine, is something that I believe you should take into your business. So That's my message for today. I hope you have an amazing day. I look forward to talking with you more tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk to you about 10 communication strategies for CEOs and business owners, 10 communication strategies for business leaders and CEOs. So I hope you have an amazing day. Do me a favor, share this show. If you have any questions at all, hit me up on the Daily Mastermind on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, wherever. Or you can go to dailymastermind.com and check out all the free stuff and resources we have for you. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk with you soon.